Hey, everybody. Sorry last time took so long, but the life of Jesus is a very interesting thing to investigate, very important to art history and European history and modern society. So, took a little while. But now we're going to cover the actual blanks in chapter 6, section 3, Christianity. The Romans conquered Jewish territory in the year 63 BC. The Jews refused to accept the Roman religion and they were punished. You remember why, of course, because the Jews are monotheistic. They believe in only one God. They refuse to accept the Roman gods, and so the Romans are not cool with that. Somewhere around the year 5 BC. Now, BC means before Christ. Do you know what AD means? I might have already mentioned this in a previous lecture, but AD means Anno Domini, the year of our Lord. It does not mean after death. So if you ever thought AD means after death, you can fix that right now. It means the year of our Lord, AD, Anno Domini. But a lot of people now just use CE, which means Common Era. So in 5 BC, not the year 0, but 5 BC, Jesus is born, and he is born in Jewish territory to Jewish parents. His cousin John the Baptist baptized him at the age of around 30. And then Jesus started to spread a new religion called Christianity. In order to get to heaven in Christianity, you have to believe that Jesus is the Son of God, the Christ. Christ is not a last name, it's a job description. It's Son of God. So Jesus, the Christ. Okay? So Christianity means you believe in what Christians believe. The Son of God is Jesus, and through Jesus you get to heaven. For 3 years, Jesus gathered 12 close followers called the apostles or disciples, either one is correct, and they drew large crowds. They stressed the importance of having a close, caring, loving relationship with God, with your neighbors, and really with everybody. As Jesus grew more popular and more famous, the Romans started to pay more attention to him. In the year 29, they captured him with the help of one of the apostles, Judas. They convicted him of defying Roman authority, and they put him up on a cross, a crucifix. So they crucified him until dead. According to the Bible, after 3 days from being taken down off the cross, he rose again, appeared to his followers, and then ascended up into heaven. After the death of Jesus, some people heard the story of Jesus and became Christian. For example, Paul. Paul was not one of the disciples, or at least not the one who's famous. He was not someone who knew Jesus in his lifetime. The apostle, not the apostle Paul, but Paul who's in the Bible, Paul who wrote letters in the Bible, was someone who converted after Jesus' death. He converted on the road to Damascus. He was riding his horse on the road to Damascus, and he was struck off his horse by a bolt of light from the sky that basically told him, believe in Jesus, you're Christian now. And so Paul became Christian. No matter what religion you used to be, Christianity taught that you were always welcomed as an equal. There's no slavery in Christianity. Till later. Christians and Jews were unpopular with the Romans because they refused to worship any Roman gods. They were punished severely every time they tried to fight back against the Romans when the Romans tried to force the gods on them. For example, in the year 70 and again in the year 132, these are AD, after, AD, Anno Domini, the Common Era. Eventually, the Romans removed the Jews from Judea and scattered them all over the Roman Empire in a move that's known as the diaspora, or diaspora. I think I've heard it pronounced both ways. So the Jews go from being a small, tight-knit group in one little area of the Roman Empire to being scattered all over the Roman Empire in very tiny groups. And they actually managed to convert some people to Judaism that way and spread the religion instead of die out like the Romans would have preferred. Many Jews and Christians were used as slave labor until they died. Others were killed by animals or killed by gladiators in Roman amphitheaters as entertainment, killed by gladiators. But this backfires on the Romans, because every time the Christians get killed by gladiators or by animals, they're not running around screaming and terrified, because they know they're going to heaven. And so these Christians who die, the very first Christian martyrs, someone who dies for their religion, these early Christian martyrs die peacefully. Even though they're dying horrible, horrible deaths, they're not screaming and crying and running in terror. And that made the Romans up in the stands, that made the Romans in their seats watching these people die think, wow, what do these people know that I don't know? How come they're not freaking out? Is their religion the one true religion? Maybe I need to find out more. And so the mass slaughter of Christians actually goes against what the Romans are intending to do. More people secretly, because it's illegal, but more people secretly convert to the Christian religion because they see the bravery of Christians about to be killed. Eventually, more and more people converted to Christianity because Christianity teaches the equality of all believers. It doesn't matter what role you have in society, you can still be equal to all other Christians, because there's hope for the weak and the downtrodden, because you live a simple life and you don't have to follow all kinds of incredibly complicated religious rules, festivals, sacrifices of animals to the gods, because you can have a direct personal relationship with God in Christianity compared to having to go through the high priests and all the other things in these other religions, and because, unlike a lot of other religions at this time, this religion, Christianity, promises a good life after death for those who are humble and kind and meek. You will inherit great things in heaven, compared to a lot of other religions that either didn't have an afterlife, yikes, or had an afterlife that basically was no better than this life. Eventually, there was a Roman emperor who converted to Christianity himself. His name was Constantine, and it took hundreds of years of the Christians meeting in private, in secret, in underground rooms, in caves, hundreds of years of Christians being punished and oppressed before they could be out in the open because of Constantine. Constantine decided to become Christian because his wife was. He married a Christian woman, and he was about to fight this big, massive battle, the Battle of the Milvian Bridge, and he was outnumbered. And so he said to his wife, "Do you know any tricks for how I could win this battle, despite the fact that I'm outnumbered?" And she said, "Well, if you convert to my religion, Christianity, then our God will help you and save you." And he was like, "Not going to do that." And then as he went out on the battlefield, he saw clouds go by that were crucifix-shaped. And this was just amazing to him. It was more than a coincidence to him. So he ordered all his soldiers to paint crucifixes on their shields before they went into battle, and they won, despite the fact that they were outnumbered. So he decided that that meant that the Christian God really was the God that was looking out for him. He made it legal for everybody in the Roman Empire. And then a later emperor actually made it the official religion of the city of Rome. The church was organized like a government. The head of the whole religion was like an emperor, except he's called the Pope. The Bishop of Rome gets to be the Pope. The first Pope was Jesus' close friend and right-hand man, Peter, his lead apostle. Then local governors, underneath the Pope, there's local governors called bishops, and each one of them would run a city and all of the farmland around the city. Kind of like we have governors, right? So if the emperor equals the Pope, or the president of the US equals the Pope, then the governors of the United States equal bishops. And then bishops have underneath them priests who take care of individual neighborhoods and cities. Back then it would be entire cities. Each priest has their own church to run, and a bishop would be in charge of a bunch of churches in a region. To keep Christianity from growing differently in different regions of the empire, they agreed that there would be one single version of the Bible. Everybody has to agree to that one original version of the Bible, and anything that's outside that Bible would have to be something that all Christian leaders approve of, and that's called the Nicene Creed in 325 AD. But it doesn't really work over hundreds and hundreds of years, and many different kinds of Christian religions grew up separately in different regions. And there's Ethiopian Christians, there's Christians in Armenia, there's Christians in North Africa, Christians in Russia, Christians in Turkey, and they have different traditions. But they all believe in the same core belief. A writer named Augustine, who was later made a saint, a miracle-working hero of the church, said that you can get into heaven if you want to. You need to go to church, you need to obey the Pope, you need to follow the Catholic Church's rule. The Christian Church, the Catholic Church, was the only version of the Christian Church at this point, and St. Augustine said that that's the way you can assure that you can get into heaven. He wrote a book called The City of God, in which he outlines a lot of his Christian ideas. So, unlike the last video, this one was much shorter, but I do hope that you make sure you watch that last video if you haven't already. It's a very important story in Western history. And again, this information about Christianity isn't because anybody's trying to convince you to be Christian or to tell you that you shouldn't be Christian. Your religion is your issue. It's your belief system. It's between you and your family and any of your friends that you care enough to make that decision with. But you should know the basics about every one of the major religions that we have, and you will learn about all of the major religions, the basics of them, with me. So, thank you very much, and I'll see you next time for the fall of the Roman Empire.